Well, it's Saturday. I've got my coffee. So it must be coffee with Scruff. And a warm welcome to one and all. If this is your first time here, I'm the big fella Scruff. And what I'm trying to do is put trading in the real world. Maybe show you a trick or two along the way. So if that sounds good and you are interested in the trading world, do take a moment to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy this video, and we'll crack on. So, what is coffee with Scruff? Well, first of all, it's literally me, Big Scruff, with a cup of coffee. Because we all know Scruffy likes it, coffee. And some Saturdays I kick off because I'm old and I like a good rant. And it's normally because some dickheads sort of wound me up somewhere, or I've just read an email and I think it needs a response. And then other coffee with Scruffs are where I'm just pondering my thoughts and I try and give you something from my experience. And that's kind of this week, but it's actually also triggered from some emails that I've had, because this week has been rather odd. I've over the last 2 weeks, I've stepped away from the charts a little bit. I'm predominantly a day trader. And if you watch the rest of the channel, you often see me at the charts every day. And I trade in the moment. But this last 2 weeks, because I'm renovating this house and I've done a lot of it myself, I needed to get some work done. I've been doing what's called set and forget. It's basically having a quick look at the charts, end of night, see if the idea is still there around 6:30 in the morning, place your trades, and then leave them. So you don't have a lot of screen time. But the rewards can certainly be there for minimal effort. But it's not on a wing and a prayer. Everything has to still be planned out. And that's kind of the purpose of today's chat. It's about having it planned out. So it's going to be in 2 parts. I'm going to touch on a conference that I'm going to in a fortnight. And then I'm actually going to pull up my strength sheet, but explain why I use it. Because it's all to do with the planning. And quite frankly, before I go into this, what I'll say is, if you think for a second you can watch a 5-minute YouTube video and suddenly you're going to be rich, where's the planning? And do you really think that's going to happen? Are you actually that stupid? Sadly, some people are. And they're constantly spinning wheels. And I have it even in my Discord group, that there's the hardcore element are there all the time. And we've spoke daily for the last couple of years. But you'll get newer ones come in, and I know instantly they're going to fail. Instantly, with the first question that they ask. Because they come into the Discord group and they go, right, which video do I need to watch to show me how to get in? I already know you failed. Why? Because you haven't put no planning involved. There is a 43 module way of the Scruff. And that module is exactly how I trade and what I look at. But it's not an X marks the spot. It's not rigid. It's a framework. So I read the news. I understand what the big picture of the market is. I can understand correlations from one product to the next. If I'm trading a single product, I understand what multi-time frame will give me. And I can also understand how to derive a direction, not only for the double D. The double D is the dominant direction for the day, but also the now. And the direction of the now can be different to the double D. So my planning also tells me if I'm trading now, I am not swinging for the fences because I could be wrong. If I'm going with the double D, then I can swing for the fences because I've got wind in my sails. So you have to plan everything out before you press the button. In fact, pressing the button is the last thing that you do as a trader, because that's the end of the trade. whereas a lot of people think it's the beginning. It's not. You need to know roughly where your entry is. You need to know where your stop is. You need to know where your target is. All of these need to be in place in and around key levels. You need to understand what Fibonacci is. Well, you don't need to, but I like to understand what Fibonacci is. But if you're looking at oscillators and Bollinger Bands, you need to know where stretch points are. All these different pain and pleasure thresholds on the chart, you need to know where they are. Well, if you know where they are, you've got a roadmap. And then when you press the button, you know where you're going. But a lot of people think it's just the trigger. Right, in we go. Click. Right, where shall I put my stop? There looks good. Well, why does it look good? You should have known where that was in the first place. Where shall I hit my target? Well, my stop's 10 pips away, so therefore it's a 20 pip target. Well, what if the market's only going to give you 15 pips? You haven't planned it. Right? Who tells you this bollocks? Normally somebody that's trying to sell you something. Somebody like me, who's not selling you anything, not really, he'll tell you if you are doing that, give up. Because you're going to get burnt. You're going to get burnt badly. And that's what I'm planning today. If I flick over this is Traders Day Live. It's an event in London this year, and I'm privileged to be a speaker here. And if you're interested in coming, you can get these tickets here. There's 20% off on the website, but if you go on the link in the comments, you'll actually get 30% off. It's a once in a lifetime sort of expo, because I've been to many expos, and to be honest, they're boring as sin. It's normally just brokers going, come to us, we've got tight spreads, we've got low commissions. They all have, every one of them. But not only have they got tight spreads, low commissions, it's the platform you're interested in. Now, I use a couple of platforms. I have MT5, which I use for 5% as prop, and BlackBull. Why do I use them? Well, yep, there's the winker in. Been spending a fortune, she has. But yeah, so I use MT5 on those two. 5% is my major prop firm, which funny enough paid for this house. I can then copy trade over into BlackBull. BlackBull have leverage, so there's 500 to 1, which is a rarity because they're based in New Zealand. But you don't need a lot of money to get into them. And then the other one is IG. I don't chop and change between them. But when you're at these sort of venues and they're telling you to do this, the only benefit is to them. Whereas in this expo, the benefit is to you, because it's an educational expo, and I'm privileged to be speaking in it. Let me show you. Let's have a look at the agenda. Now, if you come down into the zones, there I am there. I'm on at 10 past 10, and I'm going to be putting trading in the real world. And I'm going to talk to you about growing a small account from humble beginnings into 6 figures. And why? Because I've done it. And then how those figures now pay. But not only am I going to tell you about it, I'm going to give you a strategy that'll be able to achieve it. So that on its own is worth the ticket price. And then further from that, later on in the afternoon, I'm actually on the experts panel, because there's a handful of the high profile speakers are going to be doing the Q&A. And our topic of discussion is where you succeed and fail. And it is planning. It's always in the planning, guys. So it's going to be a great event. And then afterwards, in the afternoon, I'm just doing all of the meet and greet in the main halls. Okay, so that is excellent. I'm really, really looking forward to doing it. Now, the next part of this video is actually this. I get asked about this constantly. What is it? Why do I use it? And what purpose does it have? Well, if I'm going to plan a trade out, I need to know whether that trade is going to be moving. So I made this, and It's only for me. I don't give out my strength sheet or anything. It is genuinely personal to me, but I do make it every day for the Scruffy Squad. And why is it personal to me? Because it's my interpretation of the market. Okay, but all my rules are here, and I have this on my screen all the time, so I can constantly see my rules, and it helps me plan things out. So once I've gone through it, it has some key areas. So there's this, the currency strength. It'll tell me which is the strongest currency of the moment and the weakest. If they are poles apart, they are going to move. Right? So that's the first thing. Now the next part of it, which can sort of help with direction, is the change of strength. So from the last data sample to the next data sample, I want to see if it's gathering pace or decreasing. So if you've got something like up here, you've got the Swissy that is incredibly strong and it's still gaining ground, then there's a good idea that that's got momentum in its sales. Likewise here, the CAD, again, it's very weak and it's still losing ground. So again, you have to have that in your mind. Now, let's see if we can find something a little bit different. Where's the Aussie? Okay, well there's the Aussie. It's pretty weak, but it's now starting to gather pace. So could there be a change of sentiment coming? Highly possible. Now this can be highlighted up here. Now I'm just going to switch my camera off so I can show you something. Just switch that off. There we go. Sorry. So there's the Aussie US, and I'll switch my face back on in just a tick. Aussie weak, US reasonable. US losing ground, Aussie gaining ground. What happens? Becomes a viable product to trade, and it's saying swap. That means the direction is about to change. So just by looking at the strengths, I can see movement and I can start picking out basic directions. Now from here, it does have little market picks. Now that little square box that I was just showing you, regardless of what this is, these lot are going to move, and it'll highlight which ones are the best. So I have that. On the other side, it also tells me what the average ATR over the last few months are and which chart is best to look at. So if we're looking at the Aussie US, it's telling you take a look at the hourly charts to get an idea of what's going on. Now from there, we have this, which is the market pick. This will pull out across the 28 pairs which ones to look at. Now, yesterday when I did this, there wasn't really anything to look at. So it tells you that because there's none of them relatively weak. And what it's looking for is 2 times strength. In other words, you want the strong one to be at least 2 times greater than the weakest one. Well, yesterday it did not. So not to worry. Now, what else is in here? Now, this bit is what's called the bias. Now, this becomes the products that I'm looking at, the direction I'm looking at it, the time I'm looking at it, the hour frame I'm looking at it, and whether or not I think it's a good trade, bad trade. Now, I grade these, and it's A, B, C, D, F, depending on how good they are, and I only really trade A and B. I want top-notch setups. If they're not there, I don't take the trade. So it's a good filter. Down here are my personal rules. Filter the strongest to the weakest. I'm looking to see what the deep trend is versus the day trend. So you can have a high, very high time frame trend. You can have the double D, which is the dominant direction of the day, and you want to see if they're in alignment. That helps you target. When you go to a trigger chart, you only want A and B setups, and you want to align that with the double D, the mid trend. Then tells me what to do. look to trade one product at a time. I do showboat from time to time when the guys in the squad tell me off or goad me into doing things. Finny does it all the time. But I like to trade one asset at a time. And then down here are my go-tos. And this is the hierarchy that I look at. So in the London session, I'm looking at pound US and the euro US. In the afternoon, I look at for New York. I only really look at USJPY now. And then across the day, right the way up into mid-evening, I look at the DAX. And then from there, if I can't find anything with that basket, I'll look at the market pick, which is whatever comes in here is the strongest. And that's just based on what it is. So if it's a US based currency, I'll look in the afternoon. If it's a pound based currency, I'll look at it in the morning. Okay, so that's what that's all about. It tells you down here what to do. Deep trend, double D in alignment, target the next resistance or barrier. My stop, 2 barriers away. That's just a disclaimer. Then on this side, 1 hour anchor chart, look to trade once or twice a day. 4 hour anchor chart, same sort of thing, but we're expecting it to be a swing trade and it to run for about a week. And if you're looking at the day charts, well, you're looking at 5 to 30 days for your lead time. So this last couple of weeks, I've been doing this, which is 4 hour chart, looking for them to run just a couple of days. Here tells me exactly how much I'm looking to get out of it. If I've had 200 quid, I'm happy with 200 quid. I just stop, you know, and then you come down here, tells you a little bit more, just reinforcing what's going on. So this sheet helps me amazingly because it's the first thing I do in the morning, and it picks out what I'm looking to trade, and from there it can help me formulate my plan. It really that simple. It's just a tool. It's not a trigger. It's not the magic system or anything like that, but part of a bigger plan. And one of us, I'll not mention who, but it's the skinny little blonde that's sitting next to me. Her planning didn't go to plan at all today, did it?
No.
In fact, I'll show you. Here. Oh dear. There's a bit of a disaster in this scruffy house. Well, we're getting a little bit better because you can see up the stairs, it's got the carpets. Down the hallway is looking pretty nice. Even down here, I'll show you my carpentry. Look at this. Right, proud of this. Shut. Right, look how neat that is. Nice returned. Happy boy. So my bit's neat, and Winky's bit, well, not so much. I'll show you in here as well, because this is coming together. There we go. How's that? All nice. A lot better than it was when we first came in. Bloody hell, that was a disaster. But now it's another disaster. Explain thyself, girl.
I've got this lovely doormat and it's really nice and it fits in well, but I can't open the door.
She likes it. Well, personally, I don't. I think it looks fucking terrible.
No, it doesn't. It looks lovely. Get it in proper.
No, get it in proper.
Well, it's lovely.
It's lovely. Except it's too thick and the door don't open. So I wonder who else is thick. Oi, Winger.
To be honest,
Oh God, here we go.
it's going to have to be the tiniest doormat in the world.
We've got to have the tiniest doormat in the world. Well, I've got the tiniest wife in the world. There she is, little Winger. But the house is getting better. In fact, this week we've actually got furniture coming. How good is that? As well as...
mirrors.
Well, I don't want a mirror because that means I have to look at myself. I mean, let's be honest, that's enough to scare anybody. Radiator covers for that. New light, as I was saying. There's a door going on there. There'll be a door going on there. Even switches, new switches, all that shit. It's now becoming a home. Happy days. Did work that one out, did you?
No, but it was just an ordinary sized doormat.
Well, you're not an ordinary sized wife.
And you're not an ordinary husband.
Of course I am. What you mean I'm not an ordinary husband? I'm loving, I'll look after you, I'll give you everything you want.
And you're mad as a box of frogs?
I'm mad as a box of frogs. Fine, ribbit. Apparently I'm as mad as a box of frogs. I'm not really, I'm just me. Unique.
That's one word for it.
Well, what? You mean one word for it? There can be only one.
Exactly. Aren't we all lucky there's only one?
Well, you're lucky.
I know.
Well, there you are. See that? That was on camera as well. She said she was lucky to be married to me. Or unlucky, depending on which way you want to look at it. Anyway, planning. Stick to it. Follow it through. Whether you win or lose. As long as you planned it, it was a good trade. If you didn't plan it and you won, it was still a shit trade. Something for you to think about. So as always, guys, trade well, keep your risk managed, and above all, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.